hooked up the fuel pump and it turned on, and it's got 41 psi. It had more than that, but it's been dripping down. I'll have to look for leaks, I guess. Hear it running? $75. Oh, I got a drip. Thought I had a drip. Yep, got a drip. So I'll be fixing stuff. Okay, I'm gonna give you guys a short little update because I didn't get much done since the last video. I got the oil cooler in and kind of temporarily zip tied in AN lines, and this mount came in and it works pretty good. It's not designed for having the radiator tilted like that, but it left enough space to do it. Right here underneath I got like a 1-inch hose that's like stretched across this way in between right here, right there, and it started out like that and then it squeezed, and it actually puts a lot of pressure there on that hose squeezing this in, and it keeps the radiator off. I mean, it's just barely off. You can barely see daylight there. On the other side, there's more room, so that can be adjusted. I need to probably get a little, that's actually maybe touching a little bit. So I need to adjust that, maybe get some more hose over here, rubber pieces anyway. And so these lines run back to the transmission. Okay, so under the car, I got the new transmission, a reusable gasket. Those are expensive. This pan, I put the new transmission pan in. It's welded right here, so it won't leak, where the other one had like plastic bulkhead seals and it just wasn't very good. This, oh, it's got the, I was looking it up, this clip holding it in right here for this modulator. There's a clip holding it in right here. Wish this camera had a light on it. And that'll pop out. It's got an O-ring, so now I know which kind I need. So I put this on. I don't know if I put it in the video that I did the shifter cable. The shifter cable is all hooked up in the earlier videos. And these are the mounts for the radiator that I made. And that's how they're fitting. Wow, this is hard to show. That mount, see how it wants to slide off the side? I want to put a plate there, right there, to hold it in, to hold that from wanting to slide out, because I don't want to lose those rubber pieces. So we'll do it on this side too. I'll put a, right here where this rubber is, just put a small plate right here, not big enough where it's going to get into the metal of the radiator. But see how that sits there, and it's not allowing it to touch any metal. So that's where the radiator is going to sit. And it sits back. So then I talked to the guy that sold me this at Leadfoot Racing, and he said that even though, see, these fans are an inch bigger than the hole, because they sent the wrong fans. But he said they might not look perfect because they hang over a little bit, but they're gonna perform a lot better than the 11-inch fans. So he suggested that I try these. And he said even though this hangs over in here, he doesn't think that that'll affect the performance, and it'll still perform better than an 11-inch fan. So I'm going to square these up and mark the holes and drill them and bolt the fans in. Get rid of this protector shield and then bolt it to the radiator. And I got these relays. I got some other relay systems coming, and I got a bunch of fuses. But I got a fuse box with relays coming, and I'm not sure exactly how I'm going to wire this stuff up yet. But I'm gathering all kinds of different options. And then I got this welding helmet. It's the Lincoln Electric 3350 series. Pretty nice helmet. It goes, it does every single shade. So it's got a switch up on top there that does 5 through 8, and then if you switch it to the right, it does 9 through 13, and then it's got delay time and sensitivity, and then this other knob right here, it you set the shade. After you set that from 5 to 6 or 5 to 8, then you come down here and set it, and it's double functioned. So if you got it on one switch, it's 13, on the other switch, it's 8 when it's turned all the way up, and then when you turn it down, 6 and 11 and 5 and 9. Anyway, when you switch it up there, you adjust it down here for the shade, and it's kind of cool looking. So I'm going to give that a shot. I got my flux in that I can mix up, and I got a double regulator in that has the hose for purging if I want to purge. So I got all kinds of cool stuff to try out on this couple days off. I got some tungsten, but I don't have the I got some thinner filler rod because evidently I was using probably too thick of a filler rod, and that filler rod was making it so my puddle was getting too cold when I dabbed, and it was causing problems, making me having to get the weld too hot. And then I had my gas coverage problems. Oh, that reminds me, I got this. What else do I got here? The AutoZone got some hoses, or hose clamps, I mean. And got these copper gaskets for the brake line hoses, because one of them's leaking by. Well, that did not cut like stainless or drill like stainless. I think that's aluminum, which was kind of a surprise to me. All right, that didn't turn out too awful bad. got this gap right here. I'm not sure if I'm going to do anything about that because the radiator is going to sit there, and I mean there's not going to be that much. I don't know. We'll just have to see how it works, but it fits good enough for me. Okay, like I said, I'm gonna put a tab here. I got it clamped down. This is creating the ground because this is painted. And I'm just gonna run a small bead right here. I don't know when I'm gonna learn to not paint stuff until it's completely done. That's what's going on here. I'm gonna test out my new welding helmet. Yeah, so I'm gonna put this on 80 amps. That's what I've been welding this gauge at. And it's steel, not stainless. Got the gas at 25. Get to check out my new lens. Actually, I need to grind that, so I'll be doing that before I get started. And I'll get back to you. It seems like a lot. I got this thing sticking out 15/16 of an inch because the cup is an inch wide. Seems like a lot. We'll give it a shot. Fan. My gloves. It's on grind mode. Okay, I had to unplug it and then plug it back in and then do the 3/1000 thing. 3-second hold. Now let's see what happens. Ah, there we go. A lot of dirt in there. Well, I should say there's a lot of paint. And rubber. Ah, well, screwed that up. Now I gotta box the whole fucking thing. That broke off. Ah, that's what I get for messing with it. Better clean that again. Take you in for a closer look. That ain't so bad. See, the weld's shiny. I mean, it's not a perfect weld, obviously, but for me, it's pretty good. Yeah, it sucks. All the paint's burning off from the inside. So I see that bolt in there. Bolted it on. Now all I'm gonna do is paint it. This one still has a little thing on it, so I'm just gonna use that on the other one. Didn't ruin it. Okay, so the paint's kind of dry and I got the rubber on there and mounted it. This one with the bolt in it. I'm gonna shift and I put these bolts in and cut this piece of rubber hose. Those are gonna be my cushion, and we'll see. I'll grind these off probably, and then I'll put that on, the bracket on, and it should clear, because it's the best way to get those bolts in there. It's kind of hard to do them the other way. I tried. So we'll get this radiator shifted and mounted, and I don't know what. All right. There's the clearance I created. Over here. Plenty of clearance. And it's really solid. That's where it's sitting there, kind of off on the side. That's where it's sitting there. So that should work. It's the clearance it's creating. Down there at the bottom, there's daylight. It's not touching any metal anywhere. It's rubber to radiator all the way. So I think now I can attach the hoses. So I got power steering hooked up. Had to go to the store and get these fittings and make this custom hose. And I had to get these special fittings that LMR for the steering rack. LMR markets them as specially made for the power steering rack, and all they are is 9/16 straight with an O-ring to 6A in. So they double the price just so you don't have to look up the thread size. But I went to the store and got the thread size that is for this with the O-ring. And this is a power steering hose. It's got metal barbs and these special fittings to fit it, which is pretty cool. At that dirt racing store in Bettendorf. They are pretty handy to have around. They got almost everything as far as these fittings goes. I tried Winner's Circle, but they wouldn't answer their phone. So the power steering and return line are done. These are the hoses for the transmission cooling line cooler. And I think I'm ready to put fluids in. I got this funnel set up, got it filled. Hear that? You can barely hear that pump running, especially when cars are driving by. I just got it powered with the battery right now, and grounded right here, just to run it and get all the air out, check for leaks. I forgot to tighten this one down, so water was going everywhere when I had to pull that out and get some thread sealer on it and tighten it back down. But I got that, and I got our steering fluid in. So we're making progress. So I replaced this modulator now. It's got the green stripe. I'm not sure what that means anymore. I had looked it up before, but it's the only one I got, and it's new. So hopefully it'll work. And then I gotta get a vacuum line for it. Don't know when I'll do that. I was adding fluid to the transmission. See that mess? And a bunch of transmission fluid started coming out of the tail of the transmission where the rear seal goes, because I don't have a drive shaft in there. Pretty sure that's what it is. I looked it up, and it'll leak like that if there's not a drive shaft in there. I got the bumper on, and I'll show you the radiator clearance. Hang on a second. All right. Well, you almost can't see much. That's the right here. You can reach up in here and see my fingers. That's where the radiator is. Right there. That's the hoses for the transmission cooler. I had to move the transmission cooler up because when it was down here, this was hitting the fittings. So I moved it. This was leaking for a second. I had to struggle to tighten that down. Yeah, this is where the fans, there's still a gap there. So I notice it's sucking real bad through there. I'll have to do something about it. So here, it was leaking out right there. Pretty bad, actually. I bet you I lost 2 quarts because I was dumping it in and I heard a drip, and then this lift goes up so slow. I probably lost 2 quarts before I got a bucket under there. It's a big old mess on the floor. And then I gotta get these bolts. There's no nuts on these bolts. I gotta get some bolt nuts for that transmission mount. And that drive shaft is from the notch that had a 4-cylinder in it with the different transmission. It's too long, and it's too weak to worry about trying to figure out if I can find somebody to shorten it. So I'm not even gonna bother with that. But I got a measurement recorded somewhere, and I'm gonna call a guy and see if his drive shaft is the right length. It's not very promising. I torqued that to the proper specs after I put a new bolt in it because the other one broke in half and I barely even had the right torque on it. I think it might still be leaking. So I put new bushings or whatever, brass gaskets I guess they call them or something. I put new ones in and it still doesn't want to seal. It's torqued to 35 foot-pounds. I don't know what I'm going to do about that. Something's going to have to be done. When I had it apart, it looked like there might be some paint. If I have to take it apart again, I'll have to make sure I get the paint cleaned off of it or something. So here's a look at how the radiator looks from this angle. A lot of room, really, when you think about it, except for where the exhaust is going to go. Now I got to figure out, I got these wires here all kind of tied together. I think I'm going to put the relay box right in there somewhere. I might just go ahead and attach another wire to the back of the alternator, because it goes over there to that anyway instead of going to that. I go to the back of the alternator, unless you guys think that I shouldn't do that. I was thinking about running a 12-volt wire, or you know, get my 12 volts from the back of the alternator and just shoot straight over here to this area to feed my fuse box and relays, and then just ground to the chassis somewhere. And then these wires right here are gonna, some of them are gonna go into the relay box that's gonna be right there, and other wires are gonna go to the things that they're supposed to run, like this fan, ground in the positive, and that's the water pump, and then these fan wires are coming over here to go to the relay system. So that's the kind of half-ass plan with that, and I might try to do that stuff tomorrow. I don't know. That's it for the day. The wife's home, so I'm gonna go in there and shower, and we're gonna go get something to eat. Have a good day.